Tensei-ryu, or Saint Dragon as it's known in English, is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up developed by Jaleco in 1989. In Saint Dragon you control the cyborg Saint Dragon, who has rebelled against the tyrannical monster cyborg army. Saint Dragon is initially armed with plasma bolts and a fiery breath. By collecting tokens, the dragon's firepower can be upgraded with a pulse torpedo, a laser, bouncing bombs, ring lasers, and a turret. Other tokens can upgrade the dragon's speed, weapon power, or initiate a hyper mode, which enables maximum firepower and invulnerability. In addition, the dragon has an armored tail which follows the player's movement, allowing it to be used as a defensive shield. There are 5 levels in total, each containing an Ender level guardian. Instantly you can see that Storm put a lot of effort into the presentation of the Amiga port. The music and sound effects play at the same time, unlike many Amiga arcade ports. Not only that, but they sound good too. The game even looks really nice, with loads of detail in the sprite work. Unfortunately, it's not all good news. The level designs are not identical to the arcade version, although they do follow it quite well. That's not the biggest letdown though. As you've probably noticed by now, the frame rate at which this port runs isn't what you'd call smooth. It starts off at about 25 frames per second, but drops considerably when the screen gets busy. I'd rather have slowdown than frame drops. Still, despite this flaw, the Amiga port of Saint Dragon isn't all that bad. The developer behind the Commodore 64 port has done a fantastic job. The first thing that stands out is the quality of the audio. While you can only choose between music or sound effects, not both, that doesn't matter because the music alone is worth the sacrifice. Graphically it's not too bad. The scrolling is very smooth and there's enough detail in the sprites, if not a little bland in colour. Gameplay is also of high quality, with perfect collision detection and smooth controls, although the enemy patterns are a little different than the arcade version. Sadly, the Amstrad CPC port of Saint Dragon is awful. It does start out with an impressive rendition of the main Saint Dragon theme, which really does get your hopes up. Then the game starts. What we end up playing is a very slow game that drops its already painfully low frame rate into the single digits. This port also has no rapid fire, just like the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum ports. The PC Engine port is the only one to follow the arcade stage layouts and use the same colour scheme. Of course, to a downgrade in graphical quality, but that's to be expected. Unfortunately, the PC Engine port seems to be too slow for my tastes, plus the audio is rather weak compared to some of the other ports. Still, it's not a terrible version by any means, but it could have been better if handled by a different developer. Another great arcade port for Atari ST fans. The level of detail in the graphics is beautiful, while the audio is impressive for the weak ST audio processor. While the game doesn't always run as smoothly as it should, it does seem to be more stable than the Amiga port. Saint Dragon is pretty colourful at times on the ZX Spectrum and even plays quite well. It's not all good though. The stages seem to drag on due to the slow speed of the game and the lack of music. It's not as bad as the CPC version, but it's certainly not a port you would choose to play. And let's take a look at all those versions of Saint Dragon running side by side.